Okay, stand by, folks.
Welcome to Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation.
What is today, the 19th?
Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this, what is today, the 4th day of April. Got a great show with you for tonight. Big trade in the NFL. Stefon Diggs traded from the Bills to the Texans. Tomorrow, before I forget, John Restano out of the Niagara Falls, Buffalo area. Great guest. Going to get his take on this. What's the feeling like in Buffalo? Shedding some salary cap. Of course, I'm going to give you my long, in-depth, detailed opinion on this. But, John, I'm asking about that. Plus, he's a big Bears fan. I've got a mock top 10 draft. Got 2 picks for the Bears in this draft. They got the 1st and the 9th pick. I'm going to talk about that today. And, of course, I'll go over that with Restano, John Restano, tomorrow as well. Kansas City, the residents vote down the new stadium approval. I'll give you my thoughts about owners. They simply need to purchase their own stadiums, especially in the NFL, now that we know what they're making per year. So got a big show, busy show, got a little bit behind, almost lost track of time. Let's take our first and only break. I'll be back here in 49 seconds. We'll hit the ground running here on Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. All righty then. Caught a little bit off guard. Kind of thought that the Bills would keep Stefon Diggs, so that didn't happen. All right, let's go over the basics. We'll get into the crux of this thing. Got this from ESPN. Buffalo Bills trade 4-time Pro Bowler Stefon Diggs to Houston for a draft kick compensation. The Bills will get, and I love this. Wish it was a 2024, but it's Bills get the 2025 pick that the Houston Texans got from Minnesota. This trade they did a week or so ago. So now Minnesota's got an extra first-round pick in exchange for Diggs and a 2024 6th-round pick and a 2025 5th round. The Texans acquired the pick from the Vikings. They traded their first-round pick to Minnesota last month. The trade comes one day after Diggs, Stefon said, you sure, to a social media user's declaration that he wasn't essential to the Bills quarterback Josh Allen's success here. They put down some stats here on ESPN saying that he's got 445 catches, more catches than Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams. And, of course, Brandon Beam, the general manager there, he's doing all the political, want to thank Steph for 4 really good seasons and all that good stuff. Okay. Just to give you a quick recap on Diggs' career. Originally, I think he was drafted like the 5th round from the Minnesota Vikings. Wanted out of Minnesota, coming up on his contract extension and everything. He's going to be 30 this year. So, but on that first big contract, wanted out of Minnesota, was complaining even after they were winning a game with Kirk Cousins. They were winning a playoff game against the Saints, complaining on the sidelines, wanted out, traded to Buffalo with young Josh Allen. Career exploded. First couple of years, great numbers. Signs this big extension. Supposedly signs another one here. Now, things started to fall apart. Not last season, but the year before. Walking out of the locker room early after the loss to the Cincinnati Bengals. Had the incident where he leaves camp missing, and Sean McDermott don't know where he's at. This was pre-camp stuff. I said then, looking at his history, he's realizing I don't think he ever really wanted to be in Buffalo per se. He's coming up with a lot of excuses not to be in Buffalo. I think he wanted to be in more of a warmer climate or closer to his brother, Trayvon, who is the cornerback of the Dallas Cowboys. So, long story short, I've been saying they should have dumped him a while back. Knowing his past, you could see his frustrations. Josh Allen, the team has done everything to kind of keep him appeased. And my thing is, when you got a guy like that who has these tendencies, I've seen this in other quarterbacks, even with that are wide receivers that are not as diva-like as he is, that are known as true number ones like a Diggs. Quarterbacks go out of the way to get them the football, even when it's not the best play for a particular. He's not necessarily the open guy in the play. Okay. Essentially, I'm just saying he's a cancer at this point. You know, numbers can lie in a sense. Team morale, all that stuff. Allen's developed now. He's developed more as a short passer. They've developed not where they needs to be, but they've developed somewhat better of a running game. I like what he's done with dumping the ball off to the backs, Kincaid, those guys. He's much more mature now, developed as a player. Plus, they've had to shed all this cap money, but to pay Allen, you know, and Allen is borderline MVP last 2-3 years. Particularly the last two, as far as play is. If you look at it, they were just a tick away, just one drive away from beating the eventual Super Bowl champions in Kansas City with their injuries on the defensive side last year. Now, Adam Schefter puts this out. Guys like Stephon Diggs, Jordan Poyer, these are post-30 players. Tre'Davious White, great player in his time. They let him go. Gabriel Davis, more of a deep threat there. Wish they could have worked out something, but he leaves in free agency. Leonard Floyd on defense. Tyrell Dotson. And, of course, they end up keeping, go figure, Von Miller, who's way past his prime. So, listen, you needed to shed the cap. But this is, I said this to John on the X app. This is addition by subtraction, folks. Matt Stafford's numbers got better when Calvin Johnson retired. Now, Johnson's quiet, but I'm saying when you've got these big media-driven fantasy football guys, and I play a lot of daily fantasy, don't get me wrong, like a Steph. The quarterback feels obligated to throw him the ball even when he's out and open, you know. Now the offense can be a little bit more fluid. I hate the fact that they lost Mitch Moore at center here. But listen, you know, they have options. They have a lot of options. Let me look at this money they're saving here from Spot Track. I want to say I screenshotted. Spot Track says the Bills get $19 million off a night. The Bills get off a $19 million in cash in 2024 and acquiring the 2025 second round pick should have the ammo to move up and snag Stephon Diggs' replacement in this year's draft on a rookie contract, $19 million over 4 years. Yeah, that sounds good. By trading Diggs, this is also from Spot Track. By trading Diggs before June 1st, though taking on all of the $31 million in dead cap in 24, Bills have immediately opened up $27.3 in 2025 in cap space. And you say, well, this sounds terrible. I'm telling you, it's addition by subtraction. You look at their receiving core. By the way, people say, well, what about Tyreek Hill? Kansas City Chiefs. I don't know. They've won 2 Super Bowls since they traded him. So yeah, I'm telling you, you do need a receiver, but it's just not. It's not what it people think it is as far as what it does to a team. The better your quarterback is, the less dependent you need a air quote a name receiver. Now let's go over their roster a little bit. Let's go over the roster. They've got Curtis Samuel, underrated gadget guy. They've got Khalif Shakur. Now you have more time to work with him. I thought I had their depth chart here. Khalif Shakur here. Of course, you've got let's pick up their depth chart real quick. This will take just a second, folks. I got behind. I was working on so hard on this mock draft here. By the way, there's options, and I'm going to talk about that here in just a second. The Bills have options in the draft. Okay, now you got Kincaid there. You still got Dawson Knox. You're set at tight end, okay? You got Khalif Shakur. He can get the deep route. You got James Cook here. So it's not as grim and just bleak as one would think here, And not to mention the fact that the secondary, Taylor Rapp played well last year at safety, okay? And, Rasheed Douglas wasn't a good pickup. He was a great pickup there at cornerback there. So this thing is not, and you got your left tackle and Deion Dawkins. I'm telling you, this is not going to be bad. Now, going back to the draft here, some of my notes here with this Diggs trade here. So they're picking about 28. They're picking around 28. They have options. Trending today was T. Higgins. I wouldn't give that kind of money up because you're going to have to extend Higgins. They could possibly leverage this and trade Higgins, who is under franchise tag with Tampa Bay. Very well could be a number 1 receiver. Most think he is. I like the way he played when Jamar Chase was out. He's going to command a lot of money. The fans would be appeased by a play like that, but you're going to have to still start breaking off some more depth in and around. I wouldn't do that. Now, you got a guy just to keep the fans having faith in 2024. Tennessee has an extra receiver in DeAndre Hopkins. Okay, 31 years old, mirror numbers of a Diggs, just a year older. You could keep him this year. Give up a 3rd round to Tennessee. They split the money. He's on about $17 million. Take about 8.5 of that, $7 million for him. You got a number 1 there. You've got a number 1 there. Not to mention, you still got your 1st round pick. Okay, you still got your 2nd round pick here. You can pick up, and you've got that 2025 2nd round pick. Now, Xavier Worthy. Yeah. I mean, talk about a guy that now Worthy, fastest guy in the combine, comes out of Texas. Not sure if I would take him over Brian Thomas, who's been going up draft boards. That's the LSU receiver. Very fast receiver as well. Not Xavier Worthy. I think he ran like the fast, like 4.2. So it was a ridiculous, crazy amount of speed. That's why Texas they were in the playoff last year and almost in the national championship game. Okay. So you got two options there at receiver. Listen, when you've got Josh Allen, it makes that look a lot easier to get the ball to a receiver. He doesn't have to be the air quote perfect route runner for Allen to make him look good. Okay. He doesn't have to do that. Okay. So, yeah, they've got some issues in the secondary. I think this is going to be addition by subtraction with Diggs. Diggs has been taking pot shots at the team. I told you about, like I said, he pushed his way out of Minnesota, and nobody's saying it publicly, but he pushed his way out of Buffalo. All right. And let me give you that side of it. Now, a lot of the national media, a lot of people's going to say this tomorrow on the big shows, your Fox, your ESPNs, CBS radio shows around the country, Houston area, you name it, maybe Buffalo area, right? They're going to say that Houston is now this big dark horse favorite. They're going to run off with the AFC South. You look at it on paper, you think, man, they got Danielle Hunter, got probably the best pass rusher out there. They got Will Anderson, Al Shazier, linebacker out of Tennessee, very speedy guy, Dinko Autry, speedy guy, also good pass rusher out of Tennessee. He's 33, though, not to mention that. Stingley at corner, Jimmy Ward at safety, Jeff Okudah, been a little underwhelming cornerback. He's bounced around. He was the top 5 draft pick for Detroit, got moved to Atlanta. Now Atlanta's moved to him. So that kind of tells you what that is. Then you've got CJ Stroud. Okay, remember Tank Dell got hurt last year. And you had Nico Collins there, Dalton Schultz, who signed an extension, and Joe Mixon they've picked up to run the ball with Dameon Pierce. Here's my problem with that. Diggs has pushed his way off 2 teams, all right? What I like about Stroud is he never hugged up on one receiver. He never hugged up on – he had some development. He was really developing chemistry before Tank Dell got hurt. The speedy little dude there run down the middle of the field before he got hurt. And then you have Nico Collins there coming up on the extension. So now you throw Diggs in here. My thing is this guy won Rookie of the Year, spreads the ball around. This will look like this will be all world in September. They may go 5-0 in September, first week of October. But once teams start to get more film on them, and he's going to have to, he being Stephon Diggs, CJ Stroud is going to have to spread the ball up like he done all year. That's what's special about him. He will pepper different players. I could never pick a player, a couple other than Tank Dell. Like I said, before he got hurt, he started popping Dell down the field. Dell's got that game speed. But Diggs is going to want 8 to 10 catches every game, folks. Do you really want a 30-something-year-old diva-like receiver really hounding a 23-year-old second-year player there with Houston? Do you want him hounding him for the football? I think this is going to blow up in their face. I think this is going to mess up their chemistry. Again, it'll look good early, the honeymoon period. It may look good the whole season. I doubt it, though. I doubt it. Listen, folks, this division is going to be a lot better. Okay? Tennessee has made tremendous upgrades to their secondary. Aduzue, And of course, L'Jarius Sneed, who had his press conference yesterday. All right. Landry at pass rusher. You got Jeffrey Simmons at tackle. They've made tremendous upgrades. This is not going to be a cakewalk going against the Titans. All right. And then Jacksonville's got a new defensive coordinator. You're going against Trevor Lawrence. And the Colts beat them last year down in Houston. The Colts have made upgrades here. They're going to have Richardson back. They're going to have an offense that's hard to get to. They can run the ball on anybody. I'm telling you, this is going to look like it's off the hook early. And then this thing is going to go downhill as the season goes along. I wouldn't be surprised if they traded him. I think he'll be on his best behavior, but watch Stroud's play go down as the season goes along. Now, you do got a former player that's a head coach there, and DeMeco Ryans. I think he could step up and say, hey, listen, man, don't be hounding our starting quarterback to throw you the ball all the time. But be careful, Houston Texans fans, of what you wish for. And the word fleeced was trending also today because they think Bills fleeced the Houston Texans. But, it is a 2025 second round pick, not this year. So Buffalo's, like I said, I talked about their options at receiver. They got 2 players there that's going to be highly rated. They can get in the first round. They could possibly move up and get one of those top 3. I don't think they're going to be able to get up that far because they're at 28. I mean, Aduze, Neighbors, and Harrison, those guys are all probably, which you're about to hear in a few minutes, here in a minute or so. Those are all my guys that I have going top 10, And they're not going to jump 18 spots off of 1 second round pick. I don't think so. They're going to have to give up more than that. I wouldn't do that, though. They've got more holes to fill. They got to get a new center. They need help at the other cornerback spot. They need help at safety. And when you got Allen, you got Kincaid, who was a really good pick last year. They could pick up that. Worthy will probably be there at 28. One of these really good players that you hear your Mel Kipers talk about every day. Every year they slide down. That player very well could be Xavier Worthy out of Texas. And again, you got Hopkins there. Tennessee, they've got Trayvon Burks. They've got obviously the big Calvin Ridley play there. Hopkins last year of his contract, that would keep the fan base at ease this year. And then you could still groove in another young receiver there. The Titans fans don't want to hear that. I would try to move off Hopkins and get something for him, in my humble opinion. Okay? And, of course, I forgot to mention the fact that Samuel's there. You got some sure hands guys. KJ Hamler, former Denver player. Remember, Allen's going to elevate these guys. Don't think about where they've been. Think about where they'll go under an excellent quarterback like a Josh Allen. Okay? All right. Now, switching gears here. It's already 23 minutes in talking about that thing. All righty then. Should I go to the draft? Okay. Quick take here because I'm a little tight on time. Chiefs. Kansas City. There was a vote yesterday for funding, essentially, for the Chiefs and the Royals stadium refund. City voted it down. And, we're at a time right now where people can't hardly afford gas. I read something like half of the people in the country are behind on credit card debt or something like that. Middle class. And we already know about the gas prices. People don't want to be voting for taxes to pay for a billionaire stadium, okay? Especially when you look at the Hunt family that owns the Chiefs and all of the success they've had with the Chiefs, they got 2 Super Bowls here. Everything is made public of what they make. That's just from the NFL, folks. That is just from the NFL. For example, you got the CBA. All right, 48%. Look this up this morning. 48% of last year's revenue. Let's 2023. Right. This is how the salary cap is made. A 255 and some change. We're all 32 teams. That's 48% of league revenue. You follow me? All right. Now 52% goes back to all 32 owners. Okay. You know how much? So it's essentially, we're talking about $20 billion that the league has made. And to sum that up into one number for the owners, I had to look this up 2 or 3 times. I had a cross-reference. Like, am I looking at this right? $400 million that the owners make from the league every year, or this past year. Not every year, I don't know, but that revenue's been going up. You know, they're extending Thursday games. They're having games overseas. The most watched TV show is still the Super Bowl. I was bragging about, the Iowa game, right? 12 million. Well, your average NFL game's that. The playoffs, 49 million people watch Dallas Cowboys in the playoffs. That don't count AFC Championship, Super Bowl, these millions that they make from that. So essentially, they make $400 million. They need about $1.5 billion for a new stadium, and they're wanting to split that money with taxpayers. With me and you who's struggling just to get gas money, fill our cars up, keep food and groceries in, and the billionaire is wanting you to pay extra taxes when you're struggling in this high inflation economy. Not to mention that you pay outrageous parking prices, outrageous concession fees. If you think, who else does that in any other business? I'm setting up SportsScope. SportsScope is a company. Could you imagine me going downtown and say, I know SportsScope, it entertains a lot of people here in Nashville. I talk about the Titans. Do you think the taxpayers can help me with my business? Do you think y'all could pitch in? I'll put in 20,000. If you could put in 20 or 22 million, you could, so I can help me with advertising revenue. I mean, think about how idiotic that sounds. But teams and communities have been doing this for a long time now. They've been doing this for years and years and years. And I understand from the owner's perspective. All right. Yeah, they're going to get $400 million this year. They have to pay for coaches, general executives. They got to pay for stadium vendors and whatnot. They got to pay for just, imminent maintenance, air conditioning inside, and all that stuff. Got to keep the electric on. You got to pay taxes on the stuff. I get all that. But you can't tell me that these cash cows that are professional, particularly NFL, we're talking NFL, that they can't budget or get a good loan for $1.5 billion or whatever from some equity firm or whatever you want to call it, bank equity firm. I don't care. Some somewhat reasonable, low interest loan for 10, 15 years or less, something like that, where you're paying, of that $400 million, you're paying, say, 100 of it every year, maybe 75 if you may be low as a cash strap from the league. You can't pay that. That's why Kansas City fans shot that down. Everybody needs to shoot it down. And I understand that people are competing for these teams, other cities. I understand tax breaks. That's money, future money to be earned and paid. Tax breaks are one thing. It's another thing to ask the taxpayers to pay for your stadium. You know? And, I've read studies on this. As far as the revenue, it doesn't really, that's overstated. The whole jobs thing. I think it's more of a sentimental thing for the city, and it does market the city. You see all this advertisement. You see it does market the city. You do get jobs and people move here that talk about the local team. It's good for that. It's good for morale for the city. But I tell you, it's really tough to sell that to people. And it got shot down by Kansas. Same thing. Now, I don't know the baseball stuff. I know they make a lot of money too. A little bit more stubborn in the bait. But I'm just talking for the NFL side of that. You had $400 million. I think you can budget 80 to 100. That don't count these other businesses that they have. The net worth of the teams for a renovation or a new stadium. They probably do need a dome in Kansas City. In the game they played against, it was streamed on Peacock. Another slap in the face to the fans. That crazy cold game against the Dolphins. People had fingers and toes amputated or something like that. I read a few weeks ago from that game against the Dolphins was the temperatures below zero. It probably need a dome in Kansas City, So it's owners, come on, man. Pay for your stadium. Stop asking the everyday people to pay for your stadium. All right. Okay. All right. Got some time left here. This is going to be time consuming. So mock draft. Top 10. I may alternate this mock draft because, folks, there could be. We are 3 weeks from Thursday, tomorrow. Today's Wednesday. 3 weeks, folks, from tomorrow will be the NFL draft. I'll be here live talking the first 10 picks with Carlos, Mad New Yorker Chavez. Keep that in mind, okay? All right, now, obviously, the Bears got the first and 9th pick. They've got the first pick. No secret, they're drafting a quarterback when they traded Justin Fields to Pittsburgh. Now, they fired their offensive coordinator, hired Shane Waldron over here from who resurrected Geno Smith's career, brought him over from Seattle. All right. And, we know they brought Keenan Allen here. By the way, Keenan Allen was at Caleb Williams' pro day for throwing with him, catch with him. Keenan Allen, who's been traded from the Bears, was at Caleb Williams' pro day out of USC. So I went back and looked at FanDuel's favorite here to favorites to be drafted number one. I mean, Keenan Allen. Caleb Williams, the USC quarterback, is minus 8,000, folks. I mean, he's overwhelmingly. This ain't Victor Wembanyama guaranteed, but this is pretty close. I know there's been, and I've said something about this too. The whole painting his nails and wanting to cuddle with his dog, and I said, acting like he's Taylor Swift after a loss and all that. But the talent's there with this guy. He seems to be the most air quote polished, and my opinion only. This is just my opinion of the other Lincoln Riley players. Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield. He looks the best out of those, and those two guys have been to the playoffs. Baker's won a game. So if you look at it that way, you look at these players, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Cole Kmet, whatever they do with the 9th pick. That's a lot. They got a lot to work with here. They've got quite a lot to work with. They've got Swift now, running back, DeAndre Swift. So, again, I think it's going to be Caleb Williams, number one. No big shocker there. Going to the Chicago Bears. Okay, Washington. I differ with some of the some experts here on this. I want to say, like Colin Cowherd, he thinks it's going to be Drake May. Like I said before, Cliff Kingsbury has been hired to take over for the Commanders. Jalen Daniels, his skill set, very quick, good with the read option like stuff, get the ball downfield. Great Heisman Trophy season last year, except he's 6'4". Kyler's short. Kyler, what's Kyler Murray? 5'9", 5'10". Got that quick feet, really good arm. Him and Malik Neighbors really tore it up last year. So Kingsbury, full autonomy to the offense, all the authority there. I like that setup there. This is perfect. I said this last year. Not a lot of people said this, but I did. You can go back and watch. And of course, folks, you've been following me for a long time. Anthony Richardson, I said that's going to be perfect for what the Colts want to do since they hired Shane Steichen from Philadelphia. I said that'll be perfect. Not a lot of people agreed with me. They were going in different directions as far as the Colts at 4, right? The Colts had the 4th overall pick. Who'd they pick? Anthony Richardson out of University of Florida. So I'm going the same thing here. Jalen Daniels, Cliff Kingsbury. You're going to put that together there. That's going to be a really good fit. I think that's the school of thought there. So Jalen Daniels, the LSU quarterback, goes number 2 to Washington. Number 3, by the way, also the favorite, according to, let me double check this, but I want to say the favorite to go number 3 to New England, who's got a new coach here. Don't care for him. Didn't like that press conference, but Jared Mayo, he's been up and coming, so he may turn out pretty good. But anyways, all right. Now, trying to go back here. I've got so many. Number 7654. Let's see here. Number 3. Yeah, Drake May. Drake May is favored quarterback out of North Carolina. Obviously, they traded Mac Jones. We know they need a quarterback here. You listen to, what's my guy's name here? Keith Engel of upstate New York. Huge New England fan, been on the program. He would like to see them not go with Drake May. Just build up the roster, get the best player, the lock, he thinks, and a lot of people say this. Go out and get Marvin Harrison. Go out and get Marvin. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to take Drake May. May has met up with at his pro day the general manager, Jared Mayo, the offense, everybody. Everybody and their brother. So I do think May's going to go number 3 to the New England Patriots. Okay, this is what you're seeing from a lot of the mock drafts. All right, now number 4 here, but mine's not like everybody else's. Trust me. Number 4. Let's see. Now I got to go to part 2 here. Arizona. Now, I haven't put any trades in here. I know that there's rumors that Minnesota's going to trade. Minnesota's sitting there at 23? That's a long way to come up. They're going to have to give up a ton to come up to 4 to get J.J. McCarthy. Come on. Nothing's happened yet. I'm going as if Arizona has got this pick, okay? So, Hollywood Brown, he's a Kansas City Chief now. Rondale Moore, remember Rondale Moore? It's really disappointed. I think maybe they didn't use him right. Either way, he's an Atlanta Falcon now, all right? I just don't see how they don't go with wide receiver. I would probably take Malik Neighbors. I like his speed. I like his numbers better, but I'm going with what I think is going to happen. This is the mock draft. So I think they're going to take Harrison with that 4th pick, pending no trades. I think they're going to take Marvin Harrison receiver out of Ohio State there. Again, no Hollywood Brown, no Rondale Moore. They're rolling with Kyler Murray. And they're going to need a wide receiver like nobody's business. The guy's an elite route runner. He is. He's 6'4". He'll work out pretty good here. He can get that deep ball, and we know Murray can throw it really well here. Okay. All right, another one. Again, Chargers, rumored to trade down. A lot of people saying that Jim Harbaugh's really laying it on thick for the love of J.J. McCarthy, best quarterback, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, like myself, a lot of you are probably thinking he's probably hyping it up so he can get somebody to come up so he can trade down Jim Harbaugh with the number 5 overall pick. That being said, we know they've lost 2 receivers. Keenan Allen's a Bear now. They traded him, did not want to take the pay cut. Now, of course, Mike Williams hurt all the time. Huge cap hit, by the way, for Mike Williams. All that, I didn't have any issues with neither one of those guys being moved here. Mel Kiper had them taken for the longest before this was done, this J.C. Latham, right tackle out of Alabama. And of course, Harbaugh has hinted that, yeah, I want to take care of this offensive line. They've already got Rashawn Slater at left tackle. Some monks have them taking Joe Alt. I don't think so, because Alt's is true left tackle. Slater's a true left tackle, although you probably couldn't move Slater to right. That would be a little bit of a surprise for me. And the other right tackles don't quite grade up that high. I don't think he's going to do this. You got Malik Neighbors. I mean, he is just off the charts, 4.35 speed here, 42-inch vertical. I talked about him yesterday. I could see them taking him, all right? By the way, I said they would pick Quentin Johnson last year from TCU. He's had a slow start, may actually be a bust. Josh Palmer's still a good player, so it's still a good red zone threat. That's their other receiver. They need tight end. I don't think they're going to go with Byers. I could see they want to go right tackle, but probably not at 5. I really think they're going to go with Malik Neighbors out of LSU and give that deep threat. Remember, they've still got, the 37th pick. So one of these tackles could still fall down to them. Then, again, if they can't trade down. Everybody's like, well, this trade down. You got to have somebody wanting to come up. And the person wanting to come up, they've got to be willing to give all these picks up. So what you really want, you want one of these crazy owners. You're kind of disappointed that what's the guy's name? Daniel Snyder's out of the league, because he might try to do some crazy stuff and trade up. They had the 2nd overall pick. You won't, or maybe the Raiders do it, but you want somebody to be aggressive like that. Because, Harbaugh's got all this knowledge of these high school players. They've lost a few players. I still think they're going to be really good, really competitive. Didn't lose that much on defense. Their needs aren't that bad, and they got a franchise quarterback. So they're going to be fine. Malik Neighbors, all-world wide receiver. If they don't take him, if whatever reason Arizona takes Malik Neighbors. Jim Harbaugh used to throw the ball to his dad, to Marvin Harrison's dad. Jim Harbaugh did. I saw the highlight on NFL.com. They put it out on the post app. So I think he would, because these players are rated so high by the scouts, and I think they would take the better prospect there. Plus, they had the need. They just lost 2 starting wide receivers here. So I think that's what they would do. And then life goes on there. Malik Neighbors, Justin Herbert. Man, what a fantasy play that could be if they get connection. And I think Herbert will be able to get him the ball, especially with Greg Roman as the new offensive coordinator there. Okay. Giants. A lot of talk going everywhere. I think Giants would kind of like to trade down as well. They've got some holes. They're stuck with Daniel Jones, folks. There's nothing they can do with Daniel Jones. He's owed too much money. He's too big of a dead cap hit. There has been talk that they would that they're interested in Michael Penix. He's met up with the Giants. They still got a pretty high second-round pick. My instincts tell me that they're looking at Penix maybe do like a Ravens did back when they drafted Lamar Jackson to trade back into the first round and get a Michael Penix if he's there at like 26, 27, something like that. Trade back in the first, maybe like a Buffalo. Buffalo's picking 28, right? Trade back in in the first round. Say if Buffalo works out something else and gets a free agent wide receiver, or works out a deal with Tennessee and gets Hopkins, and do that. So as far they need help at right tackle, Evan O'Neal, he's a miss. He's a miss. He's only played 7 games here. I can see them going. They got Austin. What's his name? Austin Thomas at left tackle. I don't know if they would take a right tackle at 6. They've got Jalen Hyatt at receiver. 3rd round pick. Wasn't as good as I thought he was going to be. Maybe because they were going around from quarterback to quarterback last year. But my instincts tell me that they're probably going to go, again, if nobody's trading up. If they're not trading up, they're probably going to go with Rome Odunze, receiver out of Washington. These guys, pending injury, those 3 players feel like locks. I know that Harrison seems a little bit entitled. He's got his dad's name behind him. There could be some holdout issues. Odunze and Neighbors, it just feels like these guys are going to be really good at the next level. So I think they're going to go with Rome Odunze at 6. Again, this is what I would probably maybe look at one of those right tackles, at 6 and see what I can do. I want that line to get squared away, but they're so weak. You got Darren Waller who may retire. They just don't have a lot of big time. They've got Barkley's gone. He's an Eagle now. Okay. They spent big money on free agency and wide receiver. That's fell through in the past here and recently. They're going to try to salvage this year, per se, and then do something next year. The ball could be on the hot seat. So, anyways, Rome Odunze, great route runner, big-time player, good deep threat, good intermediate guy, good hands, just a really good player here. And keep an eye on them doing something late in the first to get back in, possibly working out something to get Penix. Wouldn't that be interesting? That was the guy he played with at the University of Washington. Remember, they played in the national championship game. So, Rome Odunze to the Giants at 6. Number 7, out of Nashville. No big one here. I think the Titans, very consensus. They cut DeAndre Dillard. They've got other needs, receiver covered. They got a cornerback covered. It's Joe Alt. I mean, Joe Alt, that's been the most consistent bulk drafts other than maybe Caleb Williams going number 1 to Chicago. Get a little tight on time here. So let me, this team that they got their left guard taken care of last year at Sonorski. They've got with Lloyd Cassenberry at center. So they're building up the line. They're building up the line here. Tennessee at 7 takes Joe Alt there. Okay. And if Alt's not there, they will take Alowu Fashanu out of Penn State. Okay. To work with Bill Callahan, their new highly sought-after offensive line coach there. Okay, 8, Atlanta. Atlanta, everything I see says edge rusher. They've got quarterback taken care of. Some monks have them taking receiver as well. I have those 3 big dogs off the board already. I tell you, Mel Kiper's very consistent with saying they're going to take Dallas Cowboy edge rusher Dallas Turner. He's consistently saying that. Listen, these Alabama edge rushers are a bit overrated. None of them have really lived up to the hype. You know, I mean, they've been good. They've, Will Anderson, pretty good first year. Jonathan Allen, pretty decent player. All right. But they just don't live up to the hype that they have coming out of college. You know, are they well coached? Are they is it just because Saban gets everything out of them, especially their cornerbacks? So I say all that to say this guy from UCLA, who's got more sacks both years, by the way, last 2 years, this Tatuo Tatuo, edge rusher from UCLA. Now, he had a neck injury when he was at Washington back in 21. In 22, in 23, this guy got cleared health-wise, played the whole season. Kind of like Michael Penix. People was looking at his injury history 3 years ago instead of what he's done the last 2 years. He's done nothing but double-digit sacks the last 2 years. Dallas Turner hadn't done that. I think they're going to take a chance. Plus, Raheem Morris coached at the Rams. You know he's familiar with what UCLA had at there at edge rusher. I think they're going to take this Tatuo edge rusher out of UCLA. I think they'll take him. Okay, number 9, Chicago, second pick. Man, these guys going to have had a really good offseason here. The Bears, they've got some needs, but they don't have, they're not like they were this time last year where they got pressing needs. You know what I'm saying? They're just not at that point. Trying to find some notes I've seen on there. Yeah, some say they need another left tackle to compete with Braxton Jones. Others say, well, they need another edge rusher to go opposite of Montez Sweat. And then some say maybe get them a defensive tackle to complement Sweat here, or simply take the best available player. Maybe that's a Brock Bowers to go opposite of Cole Kmet. They don't have glaring needs. Okay. Your Mel Kipers of the world and most of the consensus will say Jared Verse, edge rusher from Florida State, at 9 to go on the other side of Sweat. I say get a true defensive tackle so Sweat can play off of that way. It's easier to plug a tackle than it is another edge, because sometimes you put an edge rusher on the edge he's used to not running out from under, because a lot of edge rushers don't like to come from the right. They like to come from the quarterback's left, to the blind side, and whoever the team views as the better of the two come from the other side, and the guy on the right's not quite as good. You want to get that pressure right up the middle. Chris Jones, Aaron Donald. So I'm going to go out on the limb and go with this different. Now, there was 1 or 2 dry. I'm looking like 5 or 6 mocks, maybe 7. 1 or 2 had this guy that I'm going to talk about here from this defensive tackle out of University of Illinois, Jarzan Newton. Jarzan Newton. Jerzannewton. Best interior defensive lineman, according to both NFL.com and ESPN, comparison to Jason Hargrave, who got a big contract from the 49ers in offseason, also used to play with the Eagles. Get him the playoff sweat. Now you got linebackers core. They just re-signed, was it Jalen Johnson to an extension there at corner? Was it Edwards at linebacker? So you're starting to get, now you're getting a guy over the nose of the ball there. This guy, he's got a weird name like Tarzan. Jerzan Newton, Chad. I think he listen, I've been pretty good at this stuff. Listen, last year's mock draft. I think he'll help open up some lanes for a Montez Sweat, who turned out to be a pretty good pass rusher. Remember, they traded for him and got him out of Washington, the Commanders last year. Okay, number 10. Okay, the Jets, the Jett, Jets. All right. Now, we know the Jets got Tyron Smith. They got Tyron Smith. They made some trades. This Moses Malone or whatever his name is got another tackle out of Baltimore. Signed a guard. It was free agency out of Baltimore. But Tyron Smith's 33 years old, folks. Tyron Smith's 33 years old. They got Mike Williams, wide receiver out of the Chargers. Is often injured, but they got him pretty good price there. Garrett Wilson, a lot of incentives. True number one receiver. Second year, going to be much better. Another training camp with Aaron Rodgers. But you start to look at it. Do you want the 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers? Do you want him taking that chance with a 33-year-old often injured? This feels like a Dwayne Brown, the same mistake they made last year. You know what I'm talking about. So at first I was thinking they're going to do something stupid and take a Brock Bowers or take another receiver, Brian Thomas. No. I think Joe Douglas is not that stupid. I think that Olaf Fashanu from Penn State still on the board at 10, and you want to move him around, let him go out and compete and play somewhere on the line. You add that depth there because you're probably going to plug and play him in at some point for Tyron Smith. Okay? You do that if they can't trade down. All right? Other options, they could take Talise Fuga from offensive tackle from Oregon State. You can move these guys around. Who's the best player in camp? You've got to protect Rodgers. Nothing works if you don't protect Rodgers. You still got Zach Wilson on your roster, for crying out loud. And those three big dog wide receivers, again, at this point in my mock draft, Rome Odunze, Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison Jr., they're all off the board at this point. Do you want to take a tight end at 10? Yeah, he's good. He's going to get open. But it doesn't matter if Rodgers is hurt again. Joe Douglas is out the door, and so is Robert Saleh, Chad. So you go ahead and take Fashanu there. If you don't take him, you take Fuga, Talise Fuga out of Oregon State. Okay? All right. If you like the show, share the show. I got a great guest on tomorrow. I'm really curious at what I'm going to try to do 11 through 20 tomorrow. I don't know. It took me a long time to get this one. But tune in on the mock draft. If not, I'll get to it. Trust me. We'll get to it before the draft begins. But again, John Rostano out of the Buffalo area. Going to talk about the Bills. Going to go over this mock draft with him because he's a big Bears fan. Keeps up with all the details of the Bears. Love John. One of my favorites. If you like the show, please share the show. I'll be back tomorrow. Same time, same place. 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central here on Sportscope. Have a good night, everybody.